Hi guys, welcome. If you don't know me, my name is Genevieve. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. So today is Are You OK Day, and that is about Suicide Awareness Month. It's a day to kind of bring awareness to the issues of depression and suicide. And I just wanted to jump on to this live and just kind of offer some tools, share some awareness around how to kind of free yourself from that cage of depression if you're feeling a bit stuck. I know, like, especially now, like with everything that's going on in the world, like there are so many people kind of just simmering in like their stuff. A lot of people are kind of not really sure about the future with their job losses and everything else, the virus. And so it can be kind of easy to kind of start to withdraw and shut down and not really know what to choose next. And what if there is something beyond all of this? And so how do you get there? The reason why I kind of wanted to jump on today is because depression is something that I've experienced myself in my teens. I was extremely depressed for a long time. I was a self-harmer. I had to be medicated for years. And it took some time and kind of searching in order to get out of that. And so one of the things, like if you're struggling right now, one of the things that I would like to invite you to look at is, what are you aware of? What are you aware of in your surroundings? What are you aware of about the people that you're with or that are in your life? What are you aware of that other people aren't acknowledging? For me, when I was depressed growing up, one of the reasons for that was that I had this kind of huge level of awareness of other people's emotional energies, all of the kind of limitations, all of the suppressed stuff that people carry around with them that people often don't want to acknowledge. And because it wasn't acknowledged, I didn't actually know the difference between that energy and me. So everything that I was aware of, I thought was me. And that made me feel really kind of different and really kind of wrong. Like I couldn't quite get why people seemed kind of happy on the surface, or why it seemed like people had their life together, and yet there was all this other stuff going on. And so it wasn't really until I acknowledged how aware I am or was that I started to unravel where I was functioning as all of the stuff that I was aware of. So if you are depressed right now, if you're struggling, if you're just feeling like completely like overwhelmed by, all of the emotions that you might be feeling, you might want to use the Access Consciousness tool, Who Does This Belong To? Be in the question of like, okay, what am I aware of? What am I aware of that other people aren't acknowledging? And all you have to do is really ask who does it belong to, and then return it to sender, basically, with consciousness attached, because you don't have to do anything with the awareness that you have. You're not responsible for anybody other than you. So that is kind of the first thing that I wanted to share with you. The other thing is, like, sometimes people that are really like struggling with depression, often they grew up with someone that was depressed. And when you grow up with someone that's depressed, if you had a parent that kind of like was struggling, that was hopeless, that had kind of given up on their life, often you can start to duplicate their reality. Or as a kid, you may have had healing capacities where you wanted them to kind of feel better and healed and happier. And so you may have started to kind of try and take on that energy or take it out of their world so that they could see the possibilities beyond that. And yet, if they weren't willing to receive that change, or if they had really given up, or if you duplicated those programs, you may have then created a similar kind of circumstances now based upon their reality. So if you did grow up with someone that was sad, someone that was depressed, someone that was hopeless, you might want to be in the question of, okay, well, what is their point of view? What points of view did I take on from them? What have I duplicated? Am I trying to heal something for them? And beyond all of that, what is true for me? Like, what is my reality? One of the things that you can do to help yourself, if you haven't tried before, is something called access bars. There's 32 points on the head that when they're lightly touched, they start to clear the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are locked kind of in the subconscious mind, that then allows you to be freer. And there has been a study done where it has shown that it does create more ease with depression and anxiety. So I highly recommend it. It is something that I use anytime I'm feeling stressed out or, a little kind of weighed down. Another thing you want to do when you're really kind of struggling and depressed and giving up hope, people that are functioning that way will often have a lot of self-judgment. They'll be making themselves wrong all the time. And so one thing that you can do to help yourself is just kind of make the choice to not judge yourself anymore. What if you didn't judge you? What if there wasn't anything wrong with you? What if you as a being are a gift? So making that commitment, every time you judge yourself, you're basically creating a energetic wall between you and the greater future or the possible futures that you could have that would be greater than what you're currently living. So what if you didn't do that anymore? What if you made the commitment to give up judgment and instead of judging, what if you lowered your expectations of where you're at? And what if you celebrated every single kind of choice you make that is for you? Because often when you're depressed, it's really kind of hard to get out of bed. Sometimes, you don't want to shower. Sometimes you just, the smallest of tasks can seem like such a big thing. And yet, what if you celebrated and acknowledged every time you made a choice that is caring, that is kind, or that is something that is for you? And what if you started to choose more of that? So being willing to be in allowance of where you're at can contribute to creating kind of the pathway out of the cage that you may feel like you're stuck in. So how kind could you be to you today? How loving could you be? And what choices could you make that could create a greater future? When you're kind of struggling, often it can feel like there is no hope for the future, it's all kind of dark and bleak and what's the point? And yet, what is beyond that? So what if you could go beyond the future that you've decided that you have or that you think is possible? What could be possible beyond that future? And if you start to be in the question, as often when people are functioning from depression, they've got a lot of conclusions about the way that life is, about who they are, and it stops them from being able to receive the greater possibilities. And so the more you start to be in question about okay, what kind of future would I have to create or what would have to be different in the future for me to be actually inspired to live, for me to enjoy my life, for me to be excited about living? And maybe in the moment when you ask that, you don't get any awareness. Maybe wherever you're at, that's okay. But what if you just kept asking the question? And it's just by kind of being in that question that you'll start to change the energy of where you're at to then be more congruent with a future where there are greater possibilities, there is something different. You don't have to stay stuck where you are. Some other things that you can do to help yourself is, for me, anytime I'm struggling, getting out in nature, receiving from the earth. One of the great things about nature is it has no judgment. It's really kind of willing to just receive you totally. And so if you're struggling, go outside, go for a walk, lie down on the grass, put your feet firmly on the ground, and ask, like, what can I receive from the planet today? What can I receive from the earth? And what contribution am I that I've not acknowledged? So what if you could feel totally cared for by being willing to connect to the earth? And like, often, like, people that are struggling with depression, they can feel so withdrawn and separated from everyone. And if that's how you're feeling, what if you could start feeling more connected again by starting to connect to the earth? And then beyond that, who else could you talk to? Who else could you reach out to? Where are the people that could kind of get you? What if you were willing to start making choices to connect with them? And if you don't know anyone now, like, and it is tricky, especially like with COVID at the moment, and you know, all of the restrictions with socializing, but what if you could get on an online forum? What if you could call someone, like join a group and connect with some people that maybe have something in common with you, or that are even just struggling with the same issues as you? Like, talking to people can really help. For me, going through those years of like having depression, like having like someone to talk to me every week was one of the things that probably saved my life. So do reach out if you're not feeling okay. Make a choice, and be willing to kind of have your own back and be in the question of who can I speak to. Yeah, that's kind of all I wanted to share today. So thank you if you've got this far. And yeah, there is, like with Access Consciousness, there is like a campaign at the moment where if you would like to experience Access bars, there are practitioners all over the world offering free sessions. So I will put the link to that in the chat, wherever it is, and you can check that out. Okay, bye.